In this episode of the Rodney O Podcast, we continue our journey in our survival guide to 2020 as we read through the Gospel of John. Join me in this episode and continue to listen to the other ones that I have. And oh yeah, please share if you love what you're listening to. Let's go. Welcome to the Rodney O Podcast. You know, when I started my job as a manager, it took me a little while, but not too long, before I realized that I loved training people. Like I love taking people from one point to the next, improving their skills by something that I'm teaching them and something that I'm telling them and showing them that will help them improve. And I often did it by showing them the benefit of doing things the right way or a different way. You know, hey, if there's only one or two dishes and you got 30 seconds, get those clean first and then go back to what you're doing. It's better than waiting till the end of the night where you got 6 or 7 hours of dishes piled up all over the place and it's a bigger mess. Things like that, little tidbits, but they're just also just training managers as well to become better managers. And that's why they chose me to go and interview and hire managers as well. And this led me to being asked to put effort and put emphasis and to put some training and mentorship into young people's lives. And it occurs to me over and over again. And it happens to me over and over again. And church was just the beginning. My friend, would ask me, and this was also a person that I took in and hired when I was a manager, trained him. He later became a manager, and so forth. So later on in life, you fast forward a little bit, and he asked me, hey, I'm over here volunteering for a youth group at this church. You should come. I think it'd be good. And I answered, no. I don't think that's what I would be interested in. I don't want to do it. It doesn't even sound like it's fun. And so he kept at it. And it must have been maybe about 3 months, to be honest with you, before I finally said, yes, okay, I'll go ahead and do it. And when I went, I was surprised on how much I liked it and how much it fit my gifts. And I have been doing that ever since in one way or another, or one form or another. And so I say that because today on the Rodney O Podcast, we're going to continue the series that I titled Survival Guide to 2020, John's Instruction Manual. And today's topic is going to be Show Others the Light. Welcome to the Rodney O Podcast. Like I said, we're going to go and continue our series titled Survival Guide to 2020, John's Instruction Manual. And today's topic is Show Others the Light. And, I'll be teaching each week as we go through the Gospel of John, not to be confused with the books of John, 1 John, 2 John, 3 John, but the Gospel of John. It goes Matthew, Mark, Luke, John in the New Testament. And today we're going to read through John chapter 1, verses 6 through 18. And so my hope is that those who are unfamiliar with the Bible can get a good intro to it. And I believe John's a good book to start when you are first introduced to Christianity or the Bible. But those who are more proficient can kind of get a refresher view and a new view and just a review. And hopefully, if they like it, they'll pass it on to other people who need to hear this. And so the reason I wanted to do this is because as we are in 2020, it seems like every week something happens. Because it's 2020 right now, and we have a crisis. We have COVID, racial tension, political fighting, explosions going off, right? Just a lot of things that are happening that are really getting to us. And so I want to start today in this topic by just saying that, if you look around, we are all at each other's throats. I mean, it seems like we cannot agree or collaborate on anything. I mean, look at the political parties right now who are trying to pass, the second stimulus package because, they shut down the economy. And so they're trying to do something to kind of jumpstart it. And they cannot agree. And, I'm one for political parties. If you haven't listened to me, I want to abolish them. I don't want to claim either side because things are at stake, right? People are needing help. The country needs the economy, and whatever you agree or disagree on that, the fact of the matter is that they are sitting there arguing and they won't meet in the middle. They won't come to a compromise. They have vacations planned, right? Out of touch. And they're at each other's throats, right? For political gain. They can't agree on anything. And we have racial tension going on, right? That's still happening. Seems like it died down some, but there's still some of that still lingering and still going on. We argue and we're fighting over who should meet, who's essential and who is not essential. Churches are angry because they can't meet. Should they? I don't know. Bars were closed down. Certain areas, gyms were closed down. And that's what I'm upset about, gyms, right? And we have all these things that are going on in our country right now and in the world right now. We can't even agree about a mask. Who should wear a mask and who shouldn't? Are we required to? Why are we required? Why am I required to do it? Why am I not? Why am I not doing it? Why is that person not doing it? Why is this person not quarantined? It goes on, right? We have explosions. We have earthquakes. We have fires. People losing jobs. All of these things are happening right now. And that's just for me to say that there is darkness all around in this world. It's all darkness. Depressions, suicides, domestic abuse, child abuse, everything, it's all up. It's all on the rise because of everything that's going on. And when you take a step back and you look and you find out, when you take a look around, you're like, gosh, when I use that term darkness, literal darkness you can't see, but also darkness, just everything is gloomy, just a bad outlook. And that's why in the first episode, I said we need a light. We need a light, and we need to spread that light. And then if you listen to the first episode, you know that light was Jesus and is Jesus. And so today, let's dive in. Let me take a quick read. Let's see how the Gospel of John can help us in this crisis, right? And I'm going to read from John chapter 1, verses 6 through 18. And it says, "There was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify concerning the light, so that through him all might believe. He himself was not the light. He came only as a witness to the light. The true light that gives light to everyone who was coming into the world. He was in the world, and though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Yet to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave them the right to become children of God, children born of not natural descent, nor of human decision or a husband's will, but born of God. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. John testified concerning him. He cried out, saying, 'This is the one I spoke about when I said, he who comes after me has surpassed me because he was before me.' Out of his fullness we have all received grace in place of grace already given. For the law was given through Moses. Grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God, but the one and only Son, who is himself God, is in the closest relationship with the Father, has made him known." Now, if we break this down, we see that John the Baptist is out there, and he's the one that this verse is referring to, who's out in the wilderness, and he's telling people about this light that we just read about in episode 1, that this person, Jesus, is coming here, and he's coming here for a purpose, right? He's coming here to do something. And he's coming here so that everybody all would believe in him. Everybody would know who he is and realize that this is the guy that was here since the beginning. Nothing was made without him. There is nothing that exists that doesn't exist that's not without him, right? And John was saying, like, I am not the light. I am not this person. Like, people were coming to John. That's what happens, right? You get somebody who's speaking. You get somebody who's eloquent. You get somebody who has this powerful message, right? But John was saying, like, look, don't look to me that way. I'm just a humble guy who's sitting here just trying to point you to the light, to the one who can direct you in this midst of all this darkness. You see, he's the true light. And he's coming to everybody here. The world was made through this person, right? And he's coming here and people don't recognize him. That's why John is sitting there saying, like, I need to tell people. And that's what we need to do, right? Is, you ever have like a positive message in the middle of a lot of people who are just negative and they have a hard time recognizing the positive? Like you have some good news and they're just like, huh, what, but what about this? This is bad. What? No, you don't understand. This is good news. Oh, but what about, what's going on here, right? The same thing that's happening here. Like the world is full of darkness and we have this person coming here who is light and people can't even recognize this light because they are so used to darkness. Let's not be that, right? Let's not be so used to all the crap and all the junk that's happening in the world that we cannot recognize that there is someone out there who has our backs. Someone out there who is light. And I feel that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing when I give my messages. Is I want people to realize that there is something out there that's positive. There is something out there that gives light to people. And he's saying, he's given us this person who made everything, who's making everything right, who's coming here as a light. He's coming here to save the world, right? He gave us the right to become children, not from a natural birth, right? Not from relatives, not from somebody deciding this, but because God said he is going to do this. And so he came down among us. Now, if you can imagine this, right? Because it says the word became flesh. If you can imagine, God is so powerful. He's up there, right? He created everything. He was here since the beginning. And he says, you know what? I care about the people who are in darkness so much that I'm going to limit myself. Self-imposed limits, right? I'm going to go down in the form of a human being. Something that can be hurt, bruised, feel hunger, feel pain. And although he's God, he put his God self into a body to come down, right? How miserable would that be? Can you imagine never having an ache or pain and just being somebody who's immortal and coming and limiting yourself to the pain, to needing sleep, to needing, rest, to feel tired, to feel hurt, to feel aches and pains? That's what he did. And so when we see that, when we see all of this that's happening, right? We have to look and understand that we should be the people who not only recognize the light, but who share the light, who show the light to other people. Because I always say this, right? Because people always say I always say that the majority of the people want the same thing. They just disagree on how to achieve it. I talked about the Senate, right? And the whole stimulus package. They both want the same thing. They want to do something with the economy and help people, but they just don't agree on how to achieve that. Because we're in a society, right, where we all want to be right. We want to win, right? We want to be on the right side. We want to be the ones that are correct, right? We want to be heard. We want to share our opinions and our thoughts. But a lot of times when that's all you do and that's all you want to do, is that this leads to gridlock. It leads to stagnation as a people, right? We don't move. We don't improve. We don't move forward because of that. And then we have disasters like the explosion that happened, right? And challenges that can bring us down and make us, have this gloomy outlook that we don't have hope, that we don't see the bright side, that we never will have a bright future, right? And that's why we need a light in all of this darkness. We need to see that Jesus is the light, that we need to have faith, and that there's a sense of hope because of that. That's why I always tell everybody they need to have a faith mindset. And I do have a faith mindset system. If you're interested in that, go ahead and leave me a message and use the word faith, and I'll get back to you about that and give you more information. But when you look at this and we understand that our mindsets should be here as we look and we understand that everything is horrible and everything is crap. And we understand that there is this light out there. There is somebody who cares. And you can say, well, how can that be, Rodney? How can somebody care? How can there be a God, or how can there be a Jesus that cares when there's so much crap? And I'll tell you this, because he cares so much And he shows it because he gives us one thing: choice. He doesn't force us to do anything. And when we have that choice, it opens up the window for us to make the wrong choices. It opens up the window for us to enjoy the darkness and live in the darkness and do things that we're not intended to do. And so we always say, because when people say that, when people say, how can he be a God when he doesn't prevent things? If he controlled you, you wouldn't like it, right? If you wanted to do something and you kind of knew it was bad, but you wanted to do it and you couldn't, that's kind of like a forced love. And he doesn't want that. He wants you to have choice. And because of that, things like this happen. But what he did is he came, like I said, and limited himself. And he came and said, I'm going to come and I'm going to give grace and truth. You see, because before this, because it says in verse 17, the law was given through Moses, right? God, everybody kind of knows that story or is kind of familiar with it. The 10 Commandments, God said to Moses and gave him the thou shalt nots. Thou shalt not, don't do this, don't do that, right? And it gave them, and kind of to show the people like, hey, this is kind of the standard that we need to be. And what people found when they lived under that standard is they can't meet that standard. That they can't live up to that standard. And so because they can't live up to that standard, we need what? We need grace. And so that's what he came down for. That's why he's here as a light. And we're going to get, as we get into the series, hang with me here because it's going to get good. And we're going to understand how much grace he gives us. Grace meaning that, hey, you deserve something, right? But you're not going to get it. Grace and mercy and truth. That I'm going to take the brunt of this because I understand how hopeless this is, that this is a world of darkness. And when we understand that there is a God that loves us so much that he's going to do that for us, give us not only choice, but also come here and be a light and give us hope, it is only fair and only good for us to go and be the light to other people, to share the light to other people. To be somebody who says, you know what? I have this light. I need to go and share it and show other people this light. Because here's the main core that I'm trying to get to. The central truth I'm trying to get to. We all need to be led in the same direction to survive. God uses us all. He wants us all to use our God-given gifts to bring the world back to good. And we're going to do that by showing other people the light. And when we show other people the light, we get together as a collective group and we improve all of this. If you can imagine if everybody is on the same page, talking about surviving COVID in 2020, right? The survival guide. Get on the same page. Let's all lead in the same direction so we can survive and beat this. Let's all be in on the same thing, on the same thought process, on the same faith mindset, so we can push through this thing and survive. Let's not do what Congress is doing. Let's not do what the Senate's doing. Let's get on the same page and push through this. And so, if you take these 3 next steps, right? 3 next steps to carry over till the next time. First of all, listen to part 1 because we need to follow the light ourselves. We can't show other people the light unless we follow the light ourselves. And then once we do that, we need to get to know the light because we need to lead others to it and we need to know what we are sharing. And the only way you can do that is to get to know the light. And then we can continue to show others the light so we can bring this world back to God. We can bring this world back to good. And we can survive 2020 and beyond. So please feel free to dialogue with me. My YouTube channel, Rodney O, my YouTube video, Rodney O Weekly, shows that I'm living what I speak. Please be sure to subscribe to that channel. The link is in the podcast description, or you can simply go to YouTube and search Rodney O Weekly. Remember this. I want to inspire, encourage, and motivate all of you as you navigate this journey that we call life. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Let's continue the series, baby. Let's go.